We will talk to everybody next time.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
6 a.m. Grab your coffee and smell the football. It's the Way Too Early pregame show with your host, Jimmy Cook.
Good morning, Indianapolis, and welcome to the Way Too Early pregame show. I am your host, Jimmy Cook, alongside behind the ones and twos, Eddie Garrison, producer extraordinaire, from the Circle here in downtown Indianapolis in the DriveHubler.com studios. This is the Way Too Early pregame show that'll be happening weekly on Sundays from 6 to 8 a.m. throughout the remainder of the Colts season. Happy to be with you today. We're going to have a lot of sound to get to. It'll be a little bit of a recap of the Colts week, as well as pertinent sound and information that details not only our keys, but what we're looking at and focusing on heading into each week's matchup. This week, of course, the Los Angeles Rams. Now, producer Eddie, I'm going to be putting you in the spot right off the bat here. For those of you that did not see it, it broke around 11 o'clock last night. We're not going to be breaking a ton of news here from 6 to 8 a.m., but hey, we're going to act like we are. So
you never know.
It's a refresher of the news. Maybe you've not heard it, but Ian Rappaport on Twitter last night of the NFL Network reporting that there is some salvation on the Colts offensive line. Left tackle Eric Fisher, who the Colts acquired in free agency this past offseason, will get the start today at left tackle. So at least some type of piece of protection to hopefully stabilize the line a little bit for Carson Wentz when Aaron Donald and company come into town here in about, I haven't done the math, Eddie. How far out are we?
We are 7 hours away from kickoff.
There we go.
So 7 hours and 10 minutes.
So Aaron Donald, maybe he's awake now. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, that's the matchup he has to deal with now, and the rest of the D-line, I should say, for the Rams have to deal with is Eric Fisher. But I mentioned putting producer extraordinaire Eddie Garrison to the test. Eddie, I don't know if you cut this question or not, so I'm not sure the people are just going to hear Jeff Saturday or myself. Either way, they'll hear me as well. I was able to guest host Kevin Bowen this week, and Jeff Saturday came on Monday following the Colts loss to the Seahawks, and I asked him directly about Eric Fisher and what type of stability he would bring when he returns to this offensive line. Jeff, my last question on the O-line to kind of piggyback off what KB was going after there, but focusing on the left tackle. This O-line isn't viewed as porous as, let's say, the Chiefs was a year ago in the Super Bowl in shambles without Eric Fisher. How much will his eventual return help things, or will you be dealing with continuity issues since he's still trying to familiarize himself with real game action for the first time in 8 to 10 months?
No, I think he'll be a huge upgrade. I mean, listen, just from a one-on-one perspective. I mean, to y'all's point, it's not all communication. Listen, I mean, I watched the tape again this morning. Now there's some one-on-ones we're missing, we're losing. Our pad level's high, we're getting pushed. You saw Smith get, who is a very good player and a very strong player, and he gets run over, and quarterback's got, I don't care how good you are, like the quarterback's got no chance. I think Fisher being over there, just understanding pass sets, feeling more comfortable about running a guy around the rail, sitting on his inside. He's played a lot of football, and so I think his margin for error will be higher just because he's been at that position. He understands what the battle looks like out there, and with he and Q playing side by side, I think it'll be a quick kind of adaptation in, or he'll find his way pretty quickly. So I don't think there'll be a ton of communication issues because he played with a similar quarterback, obviously, in Kansas City with the movement of Patrick Mahomes. He'll backpedal, dude, 15 yards and then let it rip or get outside the pocket. So I think for Fisher, it will be an upgrade for us for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely similarities there. I mean, you don't often see, at least as regularly, that's kind of the habit that Carson Wentz, I wouldn't say habit necessarily, but the play style that he had in college. He likes to bail on pockets, like to utilize play action a lot. So there is similarities there between him and Patrick Mahomes in terms of their style of throwing. Like Jeff hit the nail on the head there. But that was my biggest question, even though this is a all-pro and a talented piece at left tackle, especially the last couple of years for Kansas City. I understand that it's a gruesome injury to come back from, and anybody you talk to, at least around the league, will tell you that his timeline is insane, that he's already coming back by week 2. And I've seen a lot of people additionally, whether it's on Twitter or just Colts fans that interact with, that they're worried about Eric Fisher, whether or not he's going to be 100%. And those are fair concerns because you just don't often see a player, particularly a player within the trenches, have an injury like that. And not only that, come back and perform at a high level. Do I think that Eric Fisher is capable of doing that? Absolutely. As you may have gathered from any of the shows that you've heard me on, or if you are one of the, how many people, Eddie? I actually don't share that information. One of the thousands of people that are watching on the YouTube chat right now, you'll see me in my Showtime Mahomes shirt. Look, like I'm a big Chiefs fan. That's fine. And we'll sprinkle them in here and there. But this goes back to Eric Fisher. It's pertinent. He's a former Chief. Eric Fisher, some of his best seasons of his entire career were the last couple of years in Kansas City, really started to put it all together. And I was very, very sad and crushed to see him go down in the AFC Championship game, but thrilled he was able to end up in Indianapolis and get a fresh start to his career if he's able to come back from that injury. So far, so good. He's done that. He is back, and he will be getting the start today at left tackle for your Indianapolis Colts. Now, that brings us to reoccurring items. We'll have many of these elements. I'm not going to explain all of them. We want it to be organic as the show goes on and as the show grows. But we'll always have 2 main keys to every game for the Colts season. And this one against the Rams, it's pretty basic, and they're probably keys that even you, the listener, have already put together just by watching the action a week ago. It starts first with the offensive line. Now, no Braden Smith today, so you already lose the right tackle, and then you're rolling with a left tackle who's getting his first reps since that Achilles injury and since playing in the AFC Championship game in Eric Fisher. And Jeff mentioned something that I couldn't believe we'd actually be talking about now, but when I mentioned the struggles the Chiefs O-line had in the Super Bowl a year ago, famously saw it all off season, my biggest takeaway was, well, the Colts probably aren't going to have those same issues with or without Eric Fisher because you invested so much money in the offensive line. And in theory, that protection is going to be there at a high level. Now, it's one game. I'm not ready to jump ship or say that, well, they just wasted all this money on the O-line. Where are we going to be going for protection for Wentz? It's one game. I'm willing to write it off. But the stretch of how the season opens for the Colts, and particularly what you're facing here in a couple of hours, is top-tier, elite-level pass rush, pass disruption ability on the defensive line. And again, it opens up today at 1 o'clock with Aaron Donald. So another big test right out of the gate. Big tests like that can be good. They can be bad. You're hoping, at least in Fisher's case, having him back stabilizes some aspect of the O-line. We could be in agreement. Having a left tackle that is confident, having a left tackle that is comfortable, in theory, is automatically going to make your life easier, but things do change when you put something on the other side of the ball like the beast that is Aaron Donald. Now, earlier in the week, this, I believe, from the Colts YouTube chat, Eric Fisher talked a little bit. We're going to give you a couple clips from E-Fish here. Eric Fisher talked a little bit about a number of different items, but first, his quick rehab process that he went through to this point. Again, this is earlier in the week before he knew he was starting, but this is where he felt like he was with his rehab process from that Achilles injury.
Relied on doctors, trainers. The trainers I worked with did a lot of research for me and a lot of different timelines out there, and I knew that linemen have come back 6, 7, 8 months, and so I knew it wasn't out of the question. And like I said, I just controlled my attitude every day, and here I am.
Additionally, Eric talked about if he's surprised how quickly he was able to heal from the injury.
No, I mean, as soon as that injury happened, I set my mind to a certain goal. It wasn't like a timeline goal, but like, hey, every single day I have an opportunity to recover from this and work my butt off, and that's how I approached it, and pretty happy with where I'm at. Considering 30 years old, going into year 9, I'm excited for when my number does get called.
I also want to take a look at if Eric Fisher believes he can still be at the level that he's played on in years past coming off this injury. That clip, again, is in reference to a main point that we've been talking about throughout the early stages here on the Way Too Early pregame show, is if you're able to get a guy like Eric Fisher, who, by the way, was tied for 13th a year ago in terms of offensive snaps played just under 1,050 snaps per contest, and additionally only gave up 3 sacks.
I have a pretty level mind. I take things on bluntly and reasonably, and I don't think there's any doubt in my mind the way I feel. Especially with how things work around here. The training staff is just awesome. I definitely think I can return to the level of play, if not take the next step in my career.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. Not that I'm not youthful now. Just being so energetic here on the Way Too Early morning show. But when Fisher was drafted back in 2013, it is tough to get excited about somebody on the O-line being your first overall pick, right? You expect when you're a team that gets a pick like that, it's going to be something that transforms your franchise, and it's tough to get up and be hyped about that. But it is a former number 1 overall pick in Eric Fisher, and while he did have his early struggles, again, I mentioned that before we played the clip, just 3 sacks given up a year ago, one of the best, arguably best left tackles within the National Football League a year ago. In fact, the last couple of seasons at that. He's experienced. He's well tenured. How will the Achilles injury impact the rest of his career? It's going to be something that's monitored. You're going to be checking as things go on. I don't know if there'll be any kind of hold or snap count on Eric Fisher. We are going to have JJ Stankovitz of Colts.com on at 7:30. So mark your clocks there for keeping score with us at home here on the Way Too Early pregame show. JJ Stankovitz, Colts.com, going to join us. I'll ask JJ that. I'll ask him kind of the mood around the complex, knowing Eric Fisher's back, but at the same time, the injuries they've been dealing with, and also look at just the major keys on JJ's front for a Colts victory today. So, again, first key of the 2 keys for success for the Colts today, it starts with the offensive line. Not just Eric Fisher. You need to give Carson Wentz time to be active, whether it's in the pocket, outside the pocket. He needs time to get the offense rolling. I understand if maybe you want to be like, well, he's got to get rid of the football quicker. And Kevin and I talked about it on the morning show here on The Fan earlier in the week. He was, I think, bottom of the league or tied for bottom of the league in terms of amount of time holding onto the football before release point. I think it was like 2.9 seconds was where he was at there. So I get that. That's a fine critique. But Carson Wentz, and this was stressed so often here on The Fan throughout the week, Carson Wentz is not the reason the Colts lost that football game. Maybe you make a case that, well, Carson could have absolved some of the issues that we had on defense and kept us in the ballgame. Perhaps. Or, Carson Wentz fumbled late in the game on 4th down. All right, that's a fair criticism. But the majority of that game was either lost because he had no time due to pressure breathing down his neck, or you kept getting beat deep, which is supposed to be the defensive philosophy of the Colts, is not letting big plays happen downfield. And a lot of that starts with our second key to success for the Colts today, I should say, and that is getting pressure to Matthew Stafford. On the Dan Dawkins show earlier this week, Dan mentioned, and something I think I put as a rotator promo, Matthew Stafford's like 735 years old. And again, obviously an over-exaggeration, but Matthew Stafford is older. He's not as nimble as he once was. He's not going to roll out like Russell Wilson or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes. You get the idea. He's not going to be running for his life downfield and making big game plays anymore. Do you see it all once in a blue moon? Sure. Tom Brady rushes every now and again. Yeah, things like that happen. For the most part, that's not going to be where Matthew Stafford's bread and butter is. His bread and butter, where you saw it on Sunday night just this past week ago, is staying in the pocket, staying poised, letting things develop, and throwing the ball downfield when asked by the coaching staff and by the Rams' offensive game plan. A week ago, and again, you say that Darius Leonard or DeForest Buckner are in that same stratosphere, or they're the type of game wreckers you want. The Rams had to deal with Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack. Particularly Mack, but 2 of the top pass rushers within the league, however you want to quantify that, it's from a statistical standpoint, however you want to place it, they are game wreckers. And the Rams came into that with numerous question marks surrounding their offensive line. No one knew, with an aging offensive line, how they were going to hold up. And there was an article about this on The Fan earlier this week that across numerous grading systems, including Pro Football Focus, which will highlight them throughout the tenure of the Way Too Early pregame show, but throughout Pro Football Focus, the only team in the league with a top 5 offensive line and a top 5 defensive line in week 1 was, you guessed it, the Los Angeles Rams. That is not an offensive line, at least 1 week in, that appears to be worried about age, that appears to be worried about struggles. So often in week 1, Matthew Stafford, as the old cliche goes, was able to balance his checkbook back there and let things develop and hit deep routes to some of the best receivers that you're going to find in the NFC in Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. These are serious threats, particularly Woods as a downfield threat. I'd be remiss not to mention Tyler Higbee as well, but they have offensive weapons, particularly with their receiving core. And Stafford will make you pay if you don't get pressure to him. I don't care. I mean, I do, but I don't really care about your concerns at corner as much as I do your concerns with getting pressure to the quarterback. If nobody is getting contact to Matthew Stafford, if nobody's making their presence felt to him, then it's going to be a long day for the Colts. Speaking of that aspect of it and type of margin of victory you could have, I'm not going to give that to you right now, but as the show progresses a little bit later, Eddie, I think you might have this on our run of show today to kind of take people behind the scenes. But we are going to have some heavy gambling talk as the day unfolds, correct?
Yeah, you and I will give some picks. I'm more of my areas, the player props, because I know like some people like myself like to bet those player props, and you like to bet the lines, whether that's the totals or the spread. So it's a nice little.
It's a yin and yang. It's a nice cocktail of betting that we're going to have going on here in the morning.
Thank you for finishing mine.
No problem. No problem. That's what I'm here for. I do want to take a look back at some more sound. I mentioned Matthew Stafford, and another player that you're going to need big play action from the Colts is Bobby Okereke. Bobby Okereke was asked earlier this week, and this audio coming from either Colts.com or the Colts YouTube channel. In this case, Okereke talked on Rams quarterback. Yeah, we talk about the major pieces that we have for the Colts defensively. You have to track Matthew Stafford to get pressure to him. Bobby Okereke talked on the Rams QB.
We've seen him. We've seen how we can take the ball away against him. I mean, we saw why we were successful against him last year, and it was kind of putting them in those third and long situations. And I think that's what we didn't do last week. First down, maybe a 3-yard, 4-yard gain on the run. Same with second downs. They're getting third and short opportunities. It makes it a little more difficult to defend when they got the whole playbook. So, we just stopped the run on first, second down, put him in those third and long situations, and then we can kind of just tee off in the pass game.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it a lot. That is the great game plan that you want to have. And Dan said this before. JMV has said it before. The words, and we're going to be a lot of sound. So I know some people might not, they're just talking. We need to see it on the field. I understand that. And if I'm a Colts fan, I want to see it proven as well. But at the same time, and Kevin and I go back and forth with this every now and again, whether it's on the morning show occasionally, whether it's just texting each other throughout the week. But the media so often complains about players not saying anything or being fully transparent in their answers, and you get just a manufactured answer, and then you're like, oh, well, he didn't say anything there. Why? And then they say something that's insightful, and they're like, oh, how could you say that? Why? What are you doing? Why did you think before you said that? So it's a lose-lose situation. That isn't a very controversial answer by any means by Bobby Okereke, but the mindset has to be there. You have to be fully aware of what you're up against, particularly after week 1 loss like that. That is what you want to see from your defense. Speaking of, in terms of looks at where keys are and kind of to back up what we've been stressing to you in regards to pressure getting to Matthew Stafford. Earlier this week on the Ride with JMV, Joe Wrights, one of my favorite guests that we have across the station, was on the Ride with JMV, and he talked a little bit about, first, what he's expecting from the offensive line. Main objectives you would have in terms of what we need to see from the offensive line is looking for more time for Wentz. Again, I understand maybe you want to argue and point to Wentz holding on to the football too long, but there were times where I haven't seen Wentz in his entire career get manhandled the way that he did by the Seahawks a week ago. Again, here was Wrights talking about what he's expecting from the offensive line.
I just think better overall execution. And I think we all had questions about the left tackle and how Davenport would hold up. He didn't have his best afternoon, but I think more than that, the guys that are usually your stalwarts, Ryan Kelly and Braden Smith, they didn't have great days either. And so when you combine 5 guys, we would always say if you only have 2 or 3 bad plays, that's probably a pretty good game. But if you have 5 guys that do that on different plays, now you're talking about 15 to 20 bad plays as a group.
Joe Wrights continued on the ride with JMV, talking about the offensive line.
I expect a highly motivated group to go out Sunday and take control and dominate the game. I mean, trust me, John, I've been on plenty of Colts teams where we did not win and the offensive line is to blame, and that's a sick feeling. I mean, you literally have a sick feeling to your stomach all week, but that motivates you, that angst you have, that anxiety you have to want to go out and have a better performance, and what a better chance than against Aaron Donald and one of the best front sevens in the game. And I think they play well and they regain their status as a strength of this team and as the heartbeat of the offense. Because I think for this Colts team to be the offense they want to be, the offensive line has to be the driver.
Yeah, but that's the only way you're going to get it done. The only way that you're going to be able to get the offense rolling in the right direction that Frank Reich wants it going in. And additionally, the only way you're going to get a fair estimation of what you're getting out of Carson Wentz. There's a number of people within the national media that are highly intrigued by what Carson Wentz is going to bring to the table. And there are fair criticisms for Wentz. He's only really had that one strong season where he nearly won or was in a consideration to be a front runner late in the season with MVP. Obviously hurts his knee there. That's taken off the table. Then he sees his team win a Super Bowl underneath Nick Foles. You know the story. You've read about it. You've seen it. Now he's here in Indianapolis, and there is, at least if you're a data guy, if you like to look at the stats of where Wentz's career has been, you can go both ways with it, but some people will look at his numbers and say he's yet to have a return to form like that, or even remotely close to the type of year that he had in 2017 when they brought Frank Reich in here initially, and then you have Wentz come in years later. The hope is that you're reuniting former OC with former quarterback to now head coach, starting quarterback. You're able to get his career back on track. But Carson Wentz, aware of his inability a week ago, which is a fair criticism, but again, not the reason you lost the game, to not be able to get rid of the football quick enough. Wentz acknowledged that earlier in the week on the Colts YouTube channel.
For sure. There's a handful of those mental things that you could have maybe fixed or cleaned up or got us in a better play or protection. And then physically, there's a handful. You try and maybe make too big of a play or extend the play too long. So there's some good and bad in there that I got to learn from.
Additionally, Wentz spoke on what we've been hammering on, the pass protection and the communication from the O-line.
Yeah, I mean, it can be better. There's a handful of stuff that I could have helped myself to not get hit because I could have got us in the right protections and things like that. So there's little things, whether it's mental mistakes or physical mistakes, that I think we all kind of would say we can do better, and I would be the first one to say that.
Communication's got to be there. In general, offensive line has to be better. I know Braden Smith being out hurts things. Maybe it makes you think, man, more all that money we invested and yet another piece that is not going to be there for us. Eric Fisher's a leader. Eric Fisher is the type of guy on an offensive line that will be able to, in theory, again, all I can do for you, all I can give you, the audience, is what I've seen from Eric Fisher during his time in Kansas City. That's it. And you can kind of do the same, because I'm sure if you're a diehard fan of this team, when you saw that the successor to Costanzo was going to be Eric Fisher, you probably looked at film. You probably were concerned about him coming back from injury, but you probably at least look at a minimum at highlights of Fisher and what he brings to the table. He is a strong character, leader on an offensive line, and this is an opportunity for him to shine. Again, you're going to have to look deep into the stats to decide the type of game that Fisher had, but you can see it visually too. How often is he letting pressure get to the quarterback? How often is he standing true? in the trenches. That'll be your benchmark. I'm not saying the O-line's going to be perfect, but in theory, you can feel confident knowing it's going to have a better aspect than it did a week ago, because the most important position on the O-line for Carson Wentz has been filled for now, as Eric Fisher makes his return to the NFL following that Achilles injury in the AFC Championship game this past January. He'll be out there today on Sunday. A reminder, our keys to the game, our 2 keys for success for the Colts: protect Carson Wentz and get after Matthew Stafford. If you do those 2 things, you're going to have a fair shot to win. Or if you're a Colts bettor, you're going to have a fair shot to cover. For some people, that's equally as important. I'm going to give you one more critical key as the show goes along, but for now, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll take you around the league, look at different matchups across the NFL that we are tracking a little bit later at 7:30. JJ Stankovitz, one of my favorites, Colts.com, going to give us the lay of the land for Colts game day. It's Colts and it's Rams. Here in a couple of hours, you are locked in to the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Your support helps the Red Cross be there every day for disasters big and small. Make your donation today by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS or by visiting redcross.org.
Puccini's 7 side locations. Puccini's Pizza Pasta.com. Puccini's 7 side locations. Puccini's Pizza Pasta.com.
Founded right here in Indianapolis in 1991 and winner of the World Pizza Championships in Parma, Italy.
Puccini's 7 side locations. Puccini's Pizza Pasta.com.
Diamonds Direct's most incredible offer ever is going on now. 5 years, 0 interest financing on any purchase with no money down. How about that $5,000 designer ring for less than $85 a month? It's smart, it's easy, it's unheard of. You can even finance 100% of the purchase price. How about a $3,000 pair of earrings, just $50 a month? Fine jewelry has never been more affordable. But hurry, this is a limited time offer. 5 years, 0 interest on approved credit. Only at Diamonds Direct. Keystone at the Crossing.
We go out as a group of guys, some former players, and they are just blown away with how great my hair looks. I did the multi-unit hair grafting because I was tired of having to wear a hat.
My friend Rick DeMully, Indiana's own former professional football player, and I both know We Grow Hair Indy is the most trusted medical hair restoration clinic and the only company in the Midwest that has the ARTIS robotic FUE and multi-unit hair grafting. Call 888-724-5129 or go to WeGrowHairIndy.com. We Grow Hair Indy PRP treatments helps me keep my non-transplanted hair. Takes about 45 minutes, and this busy world, it's perfect.
Having the hair that I have now has just given me confidence and just make me feel good about myself.
This year, restore your confidence and grow your hair back. Call for a free in-office or virtual evaluation. 888-724-5129 or WeGrowHairIndy.com. Today, that's 888-724-5129.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Wonder if you should get tested for colorectal cancer? Well, it's the second leading cancer killer in the U.S., and screening helps prevent it. So if you're 50 or older, it's time. Even if it doesn't run in your family. Most often, colorectal cancer occurs in people with no family history. And it doesn't always cause symptoms, especially early on, so don't wait for symptoms to get tested. Screening helps prevent the disease by finding precancerous polyps so they can be removed. Remove the polyp, prevent the cancer. Screening also helps find colorectal cancer early when treatment works best. You might be thinking, oh no, not that test. But here's the thing, you have options. There's more than one screening test. Talk to your doctor to find the one that's right for you. No more excuses. If you're over 50, get tested, because colorectal cancer screening really does save lives. A message from HHS and CDC's Screen for Life campaign.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Come on, one more rep. You got this. 10. There it is. Nice work, man. You're a beast.
Thanks, man. I feel better than I have in years. And I got to tell you, taking Nugenix makes a huge difference for me.
Nugenix? That's the testosterone booster with TV ads with Frank Thomas. The big hurt, right?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is testofen, which helps boost free testosterone levels and increase lean muscle mass.
Well, it's clearly working for you. Hey, are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, Nugenix is a great way to increase lean muscle and feel stronger with more energy and endurance.
Man, I need to get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix.
No problem. You just got to send them a text. Text ENERGY to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix, the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of new Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help get you back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ENERGY to 321-321. That's ENERGY to 321-321.
I'm Serena Williams. You watch me live on TV.
And I'm that voice from movies you watch on demand. DirecTV Stream brought us together to save the world.
Maybe not save the world, but DirecTV Stream does bring your live and on-demand favorites together.
Your favorites together.
I just said that.
She just said that.
Introducing DirecTV Stream, the best of live TV and on demand with no annual contract. Get your TV together at directv.com.
Requires high-speed internet and compatible device. Content varies by package and location. Restrictions apply.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The JMB sucks, but his Larceny Bourbon Golf Outing doesn't. Benefiting Teachers Treasures is back again. Visit 1075thefan.com to learn how to get your tickets.
Hey, wake up. We're talking football. It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It is the Way Too Early pregame show. I am your host, Jimmy Cook. Follow me on Twitter at @TheJCook. Gotta be honest, a tip of the cap before we go around the league. Just a massive, massive shout out to the YouTube chat. Got just tons of people in here. Matthew Carlisle, Ramsey Moss, Nicholas Reed, Matthew Stansberry, to name a few. A couple shout outs. Yes, of course, YouTube chat. Don't tell our bosses. We snuck up here to Indianapolis at 6 a.m. because we're lunatics and are just broadcasting as that one is from Nicholas Reed suggesting that we just snuck into the studio, but also Matthew Stansberry, late night pirate radio coming to you. I love it.
Also, Nicholas Reed in the YouTube chat, it is his birthday, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nicholas. Thank you for stepping up with us here in the morning as we launch. Again, this is actually, we have an establishment here on the Fan. All jokes aside, this was planned. Me and Eddie did not just break in and are hosting this.
Don't tell him that.
As far as you know, but I'm obligated to say that so that we at least have a cover so that our executives around here don't storm the building and try to kick us out. So until that happens, we're still bringing you the Way Too Early pregame show. This is not the Dan Levitard show. It's not a pirate ship. I do enjoy the pirate radio shout out there, though, but this is a different operation here. We told you we'd go around the league, and there's another loaded NFL Sunday. I'm going to try to sync this up, Eddie, to make this easiest on you with the matchups in order that are on the sheet. And we'll start first with the matchup that is most pertinent to Colts fans, other than their own, of course. It'll be Seattle and Tennessee. A lot of people think this is a two-horse race in the AFC South. Got to be honest with you. I think that 9 and 8 could seriously end up winning the South by the time everything's said and done. Kevin even threw out to me, I think, Eddie, you might have mentioned the same as well, 8 and 9 in some instances. I know it's like wild to think about, but it could very well end up winning the South this year.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. But, I mean, it's not ideal if you're anyone in the AFC South to have a below 500 record and make the postseason, right? But the way that the schedule falls this year, the AFC South has to play the NFC West. And the NFC West looks like an absolute juggernaut, with Seattle, San Francisco, the Rams, and then you've got Arizona, who looks really good right now. So, I mean, 8-9 may be the way to go with the AFC South, but it wouldn't surprise me if, like, Tennessee catches a run mid-season or later season when they have to play some weaker opponents, and then they knock off a couple teams that they shouldn't knock off and finish with a winning record. And the same can be said for the Indianapolis Colts.
That's just a draw you don't want to have. Like, if you're a division, whoever you root for, like me, right? Like, I track the AFC South. That's my job. I track the Colts. That's my job. Growing up, though, massive Chiefs fan. So AFC West is where I get some of my bread and butter. Man, I just don't want any part of the NFC. I know there's been years where it's been a weak division, but not so much the last 4 or 5 years. NFC West just a pairing I don't want anything to do with. I'm thankful the AFC West doesn't have to deal with it, but if you're a Colts fan, your only flip side is, man, we lost to the Seahawks. All right, come on, Hawks. Beat those Titans. That's our first matchup around the league as the Hawks host the Titans. Seattle, this is from a variety of sports books, but Seattle favored by 6.5 points, and we'll get into our picks as the day goes on. But let's first take a listen around the league. Head coach Pete Carroll on the big matchup against the Titans.
This is a really good team that we're playing. The Titans were, division champs last year, a lot of wins, huge numbers by their players and stats, all the build-up and the high-profile guys and all of that. This is a really exciting matchup for us. And as was last week, another really good team, and here we go again. And it feels like, and as we go through the preparation and our guys learn the team that we're playing against, they'll feel the legitimacy of the championship matchup. And so it's really good for us. We had one on the road, now we got one at home to get this thing started, and hopefully we can get off to a really good start doing it.
Last week, Ryan Tannehill, 1 touchdown, 1 INT, completed 60% of his passes for just 212 yards, got outplayed mightily. And again, Kyle Murray's not defending him. I can't stand that when people say that, like, oh, he got outplayed, whatever. I mean, they're on different sides of the ball. But metrically speaking, Kyler Murray, much better day when it was his turn with the football than Ryan Tannehill. One of my dark horses coming into the year, I don't even want to say dark horse, but dark horse for an NFC championship maybe, but a team I expected to take the leap was the Arizona Cardinals. They proved that through week 1. Ryan Tannehill was putrid at times. He knows that the Titans have to play to a higher standard on the offensive side of the ball.
Ultimately, it just comes down to getting back to playing our game. At times, we didn't play to our standard, obviously. With the effort, the finish, the passion, got to get back to that a little bit. They got off to a good start, and tip your hat to them. But at the end of the day, we have to dig back into to what we believe in this building, in this program, and come out swinging, come out fighting. So look forward to the opportunity this week for our guys to go finish, to play fast, to play aggressive, to push piles, to move people in the run game and get that momentum going.
Derrick Henry needs to be better too. And that does get started with the offensive line. But the offense is predicated by Derrick Henry's ability to run. Well, that's the favorite phrase around here. Say it with me, YouTube chat. Run the damn ball. I know it's a Colts thing, but whether you're a Derrick Henry fantasy owner, which we'll talk some fantasy as well today, whether you're a Derrick Henry fantasy owner or a Titans fan, that is where your money is made, is Derrick Henry dominating with the football in his hands. Now, Julio Jones, nice addition there. No doubt. A.J. Brown, quality receiver, one of the tops. You could actually make the case, and I feel strongly in saying this, Eddie, you can cut me down if you want to. Probably best receiver in the South when saving T.Y. Hilton not healthy. I think it's probably a question.
Yeah, no question there.
And a top-tier receiver within the conference. Want to stick with Titan Seahawks once more. This on Derrick Henry's side, understanding that he underachieved a bit last week.
We know last week wasn't our standard. Just come out here and focus on being better, being locked in on what we got to do, and play by play each rep, and that's all we can do. But guys are hungry to get better. Just trying to put it together this week.
Need to see it now, right? Have the talking. Need to see it from Derrick Henry. And to qualify that statement, no, I do not have Derrick Henry in my fantasy team. I went with Dalvin Cook, second overall. YouTube chat, here is a tease for you. I'm only going to do this once. I'm not going to do it now. But at some point in the show, we'll say actually next segment, I'm going to address the crazy fanhood that is Jay Cook's fanhood. I'm going to get that out of here once, and he's going to take note of it, and then we'll put a disclaimer on the YouTube chat because I understand it's a bit all over the place. It's a bit wild, so strap in for that. Eddie, let's go rapid fire with this. Going to put a little bit of test on you. We're going to go Bills at Dolphins. Bills favored by 3.5 on the road. Josh Allen, and the Bills have to play a lot better, get their season back where it needs to be.
Just the execution of plays just wasn't where it needed to be. Starts with me there, so we've learned from some things, and we're excited to get back out on the field and play some football again. It's week 1 of 17, and Sunday will be a good test against a really good in-division opponent. They're playing well. Going back to last year, they played really well, but this year's a new year. What we did last year, what they did last year, really what we did last week and what they did last week, it doesn't matter. It's a game plan, week-to-week league, and we got to go out there and execute.
Bears, Bengals. I don't like this one at all. Matt Nagy, Justin Fields, valuable chess piece to use. Play chess, Eddie.
I think he provides a lot of value now that we're here at this point and we're not in training camp and the guessing game or whatever. And inevitably what it does is it makes when you have a guy like Justin, teams, when they see that, now they got to prepare in certain ways for certain things they may think of or not think of. So it just can help us that way too.
Well, they're not prepared for Andy Dalton. Nobody's prepared for Andy Dalton. Nobody's prepared for Andy Dalton since 2013. So, I mean, look, I love Matt Nagy. Again, back to the Chiefs fandom. At least I loved him in Kansas City. I understand if there's any Chicago fans that accidentally hit this station while driving in this morning or stumbling around to get home after a late night, somehow found the stream on their phone and have been like, oh man, this is pretty good stuff. No, I'm in the camp of Justin Fields as the starter in Chicago. Andy Dalton being there serves no purpose for me. I don't know. Like, you look at teams that have had, he sat behind a good quarterback and he learned from him and he just gets a better feel for the game, sit behind. Alex Smith had again, I'm not saying championship level, but Alex Smith had achieved and had a solid tenure at the minimum in his time in Kansas City before Mahomes was there. Brett Favre is an all-time great. Aaron Rodgers got to sit behind him. You're putting Andy Dalton in that same club, and again, Brett Favre, tiers above Alex Smith. Don't get it confused, but there's clear separation there. Brett Favre, Alex Smith, Eddie and me, Andy Dalton. That's your list. That is your bona fide list. Free Fields, damn it.
You can say the same for Trey Lance. I mean,
yes. You could. Jimmy Garoppolo has been to a Super Bowl, though. At the very least, there's that aspect to it. He's done more in his career.
He's been to a couple. One as a starter.
Sure. Right, fair. I guess I should have qualified the statement, and that's why you're here. As a starter, been to the one, didn't really impress there, but at least got there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll dive a little bit more around the league, and if we have time, as I teased earlier, I'll explain a little bit of my crazy fandom and why a Chiefs fan is on the mic for the Way Too Early pregame show. So we get you ready. First voices you hear today, Jimmy Cook and Eddie Garrison. Colts, Rams, 1 o'clock. 6:43, top of the hour. Going to dive more into our bets at 7:30. JJ Stankovitz, Colts.com. Going to join us on the Way Too Early pregame show.
It takes everyone in the community working together to create a brighter future. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Visit liveunited.org to learn how you can help.
If a fire starts in your home, you have just 2 minutes to escape. That's why it's important to have working smoke alarms. Develop an escape plan and practice monthly. Visit redcross.org to learn more.
Hey, it's JMV. The biggest game this Sunday, the Chiefs and the Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. This should be a fantastic game, And you got to love what the #1 rated sportsbook app in America does for you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook. But use that promo code JMV today. Again, you could win $150 on just a $5 bet. And the Chiefs-Ravens matchup, FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code JMV. That's 21 plus and present in Indiana. New users only, $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problems, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Because there's only one you, Vuse Alto is the vape as unique as you are. With Vuse by you, you can make your unique mix with any of 4 colors, 3 flavors, 3 nicotine levels, and infinite wrap designs. So how will you do you? Make Vuse Alto a vape that is yours. In store now. Discover more at Vuse.com. Vuse. Charge beyond. Vapor products. Underage sale prohibited. Website and offers restricted to age 21 and over tobacco consumers.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Hey, it's JMV. The absolute best is Mark Dietel Realty. 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. That's online, markdietel.com, Mark, DIETEL.com. Everybody is going to tell you that they can get the job done right, or even better than what you thought. But you got to go with somebody that's going to deliver. The only person that I would use if I were moving is Mark Dietel at 317-755-4232. He's going to give you guarantees. In fact, multiple offers in 3 days, or he's going to sell it for free. Marion in Perry Township made the decision to move into a retirement community and needed to move quickly. So who was called? Absolutely. 317-755-4232. Mark Dietel, and he got the job done right. That's Mark Dietel Realty. 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com today.
Fall in Indy, and for 20 years, Rhino Shield's been covering Indiana homes like your neighbor Edwina.
Over the years, I had to touch up the house. I just got to the point where I couldn't spend any more money on the outside of the house. And when I saw Rhino Shield, I thought that was the answer to my problem.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
I've had painters here before, and it was usually quite a disaster with them leaving their equipment here and picking up things in the yard. But Rhino Shield was right on it.
You too can help Rhino Shield celebrate 20 years of covering Indiana homes for 20% off the regular price.
The gentleman said, if you're interested, give me a call. And I said, honestly, can you come tomorrow?
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam. When I came home, I didn't know where to turn.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope. My wife is always there to remind me we have a life to live.
DAV provides a lifetime of support, helping veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I am a veteran, but after I got out, I spent 2 years alone and homeless.
Every year, DAV helps more than 1 million veterans so they can reach victories great and small.
My victory was finding the support to get back on my feet. Now I'm getting things right with my family.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. I am a veteran. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Help support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle Extrava Festa Save-a-thon, the annual year-long event for saving big on home and auto insurance. These savings are available up until and straight through Labor Day, Halloween, Grover Cleveland's birthday, Taco Tuesday, the anniversary of the moon landing, White Chocolate Day. The sale literally never ends. You can come on Jupiter's Ascension, National Pisces Day, but not Leap Day. Just kidding. We're doing Leap Day because every day is perfect for saving money with a home and auto bundle only at Progressive. But for real, we're not doing White Chocolate Day because white chocolate is gross. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Back to school, so kids tell your parents about Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month contest, where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
It's never too early for football.
Yeah, it's too early.
It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It is the Way Too Early pregame show. Jimmy Cook, Eddie Garrison on the ones and twos, taking you across the league, around the league, I should say. I want to remind you while we have a second, though, bottom of next hour, JJ Stankovitz, Colts.com. Going to join us, give us the lay of the land, heading in to Colts Rams this afternoon. Where we left off at games we're previewing around the league, Cowboys taking on the Chargers. Dallas, underdogs in this one. Chargers are favored by 3. Let's take a listen at Dak Prescott talking about how mounting injuries for the Cowboys can't feel sorry for themselves.
I mean, obviously it's tough. Tough losing a player like that. Knowing DeMarcus is going to do everything that he can, and the doctors say that he can get back and be a part of the team whenever that is. That sucks. Obviously, we know what he means to this team and to this defense. But at the end of the day, we're not going to sit here and think about last year and try to compare the two or worry about going down that slope. That was then, and this is now. We know we've got to get better with what we have. There's an opportunity for guys to step up. We're going to need that. We're going to need the young guys to step up and get the experience and get ready to play to help us later in the year, even when DeMarcus is back, to be able to have waves of guys with experience.
Dak obviously mentioning DeMarcus Lawrence with a foot injury out for week 2. And for the Cowboys in general, that's a big loss, but he's right. You can't feel sorry for yourselves, particularly in the National Football League, against a top team like the Chargers. Big year last year for Justin Herbert's. Expecting more of the same from him this season. Additionally on the docket, Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints favored by 3 after that dominant performance from famous Jameis Winston, baby, rolling out there against the Packers last week. That was my shocker of the entire week 1. I think for a lot of people, it was the same. I don't even mean like how bad Aaron Rodgers played or how bad the Packers looked overall. Like, that was completely overshadowed to me by Jameis Winston. Kyler Murray, probably one of my favorite young stars in the league right now, or at least young up-and-coming stars. Eddie, if we have it, Kyler Murray talking about the Cards being on the rise.
I know they drafted me for a reason. And then, as far as like this being year 3, as far as, like I was just saying about the progression of, checking stuff, ownership of the offense, all that stuff, that takes time. When they drafted me, I knew what it was. I knew, the direction we were going. But as far as, us getting to the top, top of the mountain of being as good as we can be, I think I say we're on the way to that. I feel like we're very capable of that. The potential is there. We just got to go out there and do it. But as far as ownership and taking the reins, that was from the jump.
He's just so fun to watch. You look at your short list of quarterbacks that are must-see television. You have your Mahomes, not Rodgers after week 1, but big picture. It's an anomaly. Willing to write it off. Get Aaron Rodgers in there. Brady's probably in there. Lamar, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray's making his way, Russell Wilson. Kyler Murray's making his way onto that list if he's not there already. And if you're lucky enough to have a Sunday ticket, or at the very least if you have a Red Zone, highly recommend Red Zone. Not a sponsor of the Way Too Early pregame show, but highly recommend NFL Red Zone. If you have that, though, and you track games across the league, Kyler Murray quickly becoming must-see TV. Other matchups around the league, San Francisco at Philadelphia. 49ers are favored by 3. Cleveland looking to respond from their loss to Kansas City. They are favored now by 13.5 points. It's a lot of points, Eddie. It's a lot of points right there.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns. I'm sure we'll get into this later, but that's kind of enticing either way because the Texans are really bad, but they played well against Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's really bad. Cleveland's at home. The dog pound will be going, and I think the Browns are legit. I think they can give Kansas City a run for their money again later in the year.
I don't disagree with that. Browns brought a lot to the table. Should be noted, the Honey Badger Tyrann Mathieu did not play in that game. So a lot of those defensive struggles, I'm hopeful, are alleviated with his return. Green Bay Packers host the Detroit Lions. Packers favored by 11.5, looking to bounce back after that horrific performance against the New Orleans Saints a week ago. Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, Sunday Night Football. Eddie, if we have that, Wink Martindale, defensive coordinator for the Ravens, acknowledging Pat Mahomes.
When you're going against a quarterback at his level, which I think is elite, and I've stated that before, you have to defend, this is all in one play. You have to defend the first play, his second play, and sometimes his third play, all in that one play. And I think that's what makes him so special. He's one of those guys, and I've compared him before to, he and Andy Reid to Montana and Walsh, combination, that type of relationship they had. But the best way to put it with Patrick Mahomes is whoever your favorite quarterback is, and whoever is sitting there having a conversation with you and saying, this is my all-time favorite quarterback and this is why, he's always in that conversation. So that's where I see him at, and I think he's one of the best there is.
Could have said it better myself. Could not have said it better myself. Not only is he in the conversation, but Pete is leading that list for me. Obviously no bias there whatsoever. I want to paid for that tease, or pay off the tease that I made earlier. Ramsey Moss questioning some of my fanhood real quickly. Again, I'm only going to do this once. Not about me on this show. It's about getting you set up for Colts pregame, but I get this question a lot, so I'm going to acknowledge it here. Notre Dame, my great-grandpa went to Notre Dame. He was a lifer there. I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic, and it's very stereotypical, I know, to align with Catholicism and then suddenly be a Notre Dame fan, but that's the way that one goes. Yankees, my late father, great Papa Cook, he's born in 1930, so you can do some math there and have some more fun in the YouTube chat. But he's seen pretty much everything there is, had seen everything there is with New York Yankees baseball. And I'll level with you a little bit, all right? If you're going to live with a team for 180 games, I know there's passion with seeing your team build it up and build it up right. Eddie Garrison contests that with the Reds, but man, it's not bad having to root for somebody that's going to be a contender year over year over year. The Chiefs, Matt Castle, Brady Quinn, Brody Croyle, Damon Heward, Trent Green. List goes on and on. I had to deal with all that my entire childhood while seeing Peyton Manning light it up here in downtown Indianapolis. I don't feel sorry for my Chiefs fandom. Again, only time I'm addressing that. I'm happy to be here on The Fan, bringing you Colts pregame coverage and coverage from around the NFL. That's exactly what we're going to do here on The Fan Morning Show. We have a whole nother hour left. A whole other hour, Eddie? Are you sure? An hour, Mike. We have a whole other hour left here on The Fan Morning Show. Bottom of next hour.
Fan Morning Show.
Damn
what?
It. I got in a habit of.
What are we doing here, Jimmy?
I got in a habit of. It is a Fan Morning Show, but it's not the Fan Morning Show. It's the way too early pregame show. Man, that's a Freudian slip there on my part. I apologize. Way too early pregame show. Bottom of next hour. JJ Stankovitz, Colts.com, lays the land for us. Coming up, take you behind enemy lines, learn about the Rams. Way too early pregame show. Jimmy Cook on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Visit TwinPeaksRestaurant.com/Peaks-Club. Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
It's time for the Crestpoint Real Estate Market Minute.
It's Terry Stacy with us is Patrick Keller, managing broker and owner of Crestpoint Real Estate, Indy's real estate experts. Hello, Patrick.
Hey Terry, this week I'd like to talk to you about these notices or postcards that homeowners are likely receiving saying that these companies will purchase their homes with cash. You'll likely see a postcard or a note in the mail coming very soon from larger companies saying that they would buy your home with cash, no inspection, no questions, hassle-free, and no showings. I have a mentor that tells me often that anything that's worth something does require a little bit of work. And we know that sellers who have taken these cash offers have left a lot of money and guidance and counseling on the table. So make sure that you get a really good analysis from a trusted real estate expert before you sell a home with cash to an investor.
This has been the Crest Point Real Estate Market Minute. Get your home value estimate in 60 seconds at sellwithpatrick.com.
This is Unibet, one of Europe's leading betting apps. And this is Nigel. Hello. Nigel has just been promoted from head of Unibet Europe to head of Unibet US. Nigel doesn't know anything about American sports.
QB Scramble. That's some sort of American frittata?
Download the app or visit in.unibet.com. Get $500 risk-free and take advantage of the odds before Nigel figures them out. Unibet. Crazy about the odds.
Must be 21 or over to play and physically located in Indiana. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Life's full of unexpected joys, like problems with water. That's why there's Michaelis, a crew of 24/7 experts who are rescue ready, day or night, one phone call, for a gazillion disasters. From frozen pipes and sewer backups to your teenager pleading ignorance on the proper use of a plunger. At Michaelis, they know that water damage waits for no one. Their fleet of trucks is, well, fleet. Over 3 decades of finding the source of the problem, then cleaning up, drying out, and restoring your home or business to better than new condition. That's Michaelis, fully licensed and insured, and fully empathetic to your anxiety, including dealing with insurance claims. Water, storms, fire, and foundations. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
I'm a veteran. We hit a mine in Vietnam.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My victory's been never giving up hope.
DAV helps veterans of every generation get the benefits they've earned.
I finally admitted, with my PTSD, I wasn't doing well.
So veterans can reach victories, great and small.
Now I wish I'd found DAV sooner. My victory is just enjoying each day.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
The word radio. You are listening to a radio. Your cell phone is a radio. The wireless devices you have are all radios. Radio is all around you every day. And who were the first people to experiment with radio? Who had these mobile phones and digital wireless before you even heard of them? Amateur radio operators. Hams used these long before the public. And you should see the future they are experimenting with now. Ham radio people love radio.
When was the last time you practiced your home fire escape plan? Be sure everyone in your family knows what to do if there's a fire. Get out, stay out. It's your fire safe response.
The JMB sucks, but his Larceny Bourbon Golf Outing doesn't. Benefiting Teachers Treasures is back again. Visit 1075thefan.com to learn how to get your tickets.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
It's 7 a.m. Grab your coffee and...
Is that bacon?
No, it's football. It's the Way Too Early pregame show with your host, Jimmy Cook.
We're back on the Way Too Early pregame show. Jimmy Cook coming to you live from downtown Indianapolis on the
sun
Circle.
is rising.
The sun. You know what? Look, I'll be honest, folks. I haven't gotten up this early for something like work or school related since the college days. Even when we did the fan morning show earlier this week with Kevin Bowen when I was in the rotation. And shout out to everybody that's been involved with that. Greg Doyle, Mike Wells, Mark Dykton got some run, to name a few. I'm sure I'm forgetting some names. I'm not going to go over the whole list, but just ones that I remember off the top of my head.
Brendan.
BK, of course. Brendan King. That one I would have felt bad about. Brendan King and KB doing a great job, as we all try to do here at the Fan. But again, I was getting up like nearly close to this early, and Eddie, the moon was still out on the drive in.
Yeah.
That'll do things to you, folks. That will that will make you assess some things driving into work, particularly on a Sunday, and seeing the moon. But that is what we're here for, and we are going to have a massive day all along the Fan. Myself and Eddie Garrison, our producer extraordinaire, going to be the first voices that you hear every Sunday, the remainder of the Colts season, for the Way Too Early pregame show. But we do work. We put in time. No doubt about that. But there are some grinders on our rundown the rest of the day, Eddie.
Yeah, I have a quick question before we get to the rest of what's going to be on the Fan today. So, I got here at like 5:30 this morning. I leave tonight at 7 o'clock because I have Colts all day.
YouTube chat. I don't know if there's gifts you can send, but like there's I mean gifts, like not gifts, gifts like presents to Eddie. Salute you, sir. My goodness, that's a day.
Will the sun be up when I leave at 7 o'clock tonight?
Yes. Right? It'll still be we're still.
Now, are we talking like full sunshine, or are we talking?
No, you'll get a splash.
Okay.
You'll get a splash.
I will see very minimal sunlight, so I'll feel like a hermit crab today.
Yeah. You got the well. We won't get into that.
All right, anywho, the rest of the day, so we've got Joe Wiz in the Fine Line that comes your way right at 8 o'clock. Starting at 9, GMV will be at the Bullseye Event Center for an hour from 9 to 10. And then from 10 to noon, you will hear JMV, Jeffrey Gorman, a little bit of Casey Valier, Joe Wrights, Bill Brooks, amongst others, for the Colts pregame huddle. That's from 10 a.m. to noon, like I said. And then from noon to 1, it's the countdown to kickoff with Casey Valier, Matt Taylor, and Rick Venturi. And then, of course, at 1 o'clock, you've got football time right here, Colts, Rams. And then you'll have the Colts fifth quarter huddle with Greg Rakestraw, Barry Krause, and Billy Brooks right after the conclusion of the postgame show with Matt Taylor and Rick Venturi until 7 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, you can feel free to, I'm sure I'll pay for this later, feel free to harass Greg in the postgame show, particularly if things go south. Greg's an all-time pro, though. I've worked in that chair with Eddie, shadowed before in terms of the way that the Colts day goes, and particularly that post-game show. It gets fun. Callers always bring it. It's definitely a change of pace on a loss versus a win, as you would expect. Tip of the cap as well at your Colts day. Getting to spend some time with JMV at Bullseye. I mean, come on. Where else would you want to go to be able to get prepped for your Colts action? And again, myself and Eddie, happy to be starting the day off for you with that massive lineup of Colts coverage as we get closer and closer to kickoff. Let's take a trip behind enemy lines, learn a little bit more from the Rams' perspective. Matthew Stafford talked a little bit to the media earlier this week, this from Rams.com, about what they plan to do against the Colts.
Try to go out there and execute again. It's a different defense on the road, different personnel we got to go up against, different scheme. Just really attack it. That's the fun part of this game is each week it's a new challenge, both, from a schematic standpoint and a personnel standpoint. So, we got to show up. We got to make sure that we prepare, have a good Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then, really tighten it down and go out there and play well on Sunday.
Pretty basic action there. Matthew Stafford not giving anything up, as you would expect. He's a seasoned veteran. He's not going to let anything slip. Basic quarterback talk you would want from your starter going into week 2. Again, we mentioned at the top of the show, it's 6 to 8 a.m. on Sundays. Be sure to get joined with us, and the YouTube chat is bumping as well. Shout out to the YouTube chat for tagging along with us here, as we definitely didn't break into the studios this morning and just decided to do the show, and it was definitely authorized by everybody involved. It was.
I appreciate the gifts, Matthew Stansberry.
Gotta love it. I'm glad people are answering the call for some gifts for Eddie. But again, our keys we mentioned at the top of the broadcast at 6 o'clock. My 2 keys for success for the Colts involve protection for Carson Wentz and getting after the man you just heard in Matthew Stafford. He does not have that mobility of quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson, hell, even Aaron Rodgers. He just doesn't have it anymore. And maybe, Rodgers isn't doing it all the time, but Rodgers can still get around. Stafford, that's not where he makes the money. He makes the money staying in the pocket, letting things develop, and either beating you downfield, beating you over the middle, picking you apart as things go. I don't buy into as much. Like, Matthew Stafford did have one of the greatest wide receivers of all time during his time in Detroit, but it should be acknowledged that after he left, Lions really didn't do a ton for him in terms of development. So I believe development around the rest of the roster, this is a perfect fit for him in LA. And on top of that, Colts fans, I hate to say this, but it is your what could have been game. Everybody that we've talked to across any of these shows that covers the Colts have said the Colts were never going to pay the price for Matthew Stafford. And I can kind of get down with that. I mean, Eddie, what do you remember the official? I'm not expecting you to, but how many first rounders was it that were involved in that pick plus Jared Goff?
2.
Yes, 2 first round picks plus a starting caliber quarterback.
I think there was like a second or a third round pick included in there too.
There are other picks there as well. Not to get bogged down in that too much, but it was a heavy price to be able to pay to bring Stafford in. It's just one game. Not ready to declare Stafford a front runner for MVP, but this is your what could have been game in a sense. Could have made a play for Matthew Stafford, chose not to save assets. Instead, you go get Carson Wentz, and you're hopeful that works out. But again, don't get pressure to him. Going to be a long day at the office. Eric Fisher is back. By back, I guess he's back active, but he's getting his first start back on an NFL football field, but first time for the Colts. He'll be starting at left tackle today after that Achilles injury. Aaron Donald, the game wrecker, the name you're going to hear a ton for on the defensive side of the ball for the Rams today. You hope you don't hear a ton from him, but in theory, you probably will. Talking about the Colts offensive line.
Well, they just got a good offensive line. They can tell they coach well. They play with good technique. So maybe they've been playing with each other for a while. So that shows. So they just got great technique.
I'm hopeful Donald didn't watch week 1 and get that assessment. I'm hopeful that was over.
Probably sleeping really well after watching that.
I'm hopeful that was over the full scale body of work. And look, we will give opinions that are backed up with high-level knowledge and facts on this show. Occasionally, I'll probably go into left field and go after somebody, but it was laughable. I mean, laughable. Frank Reich post-game on Sunday saying he needed to go check the film before making an evaluation about the O-line. And I understand. I get it. That's his job. What are you going to say? You're not going to throw him under the bus. But the very next day, sure enough, yeah, we didn't play well. Right, Frank, because everybody saw what happened out there and knew how bad that O-line was. To your point, Eddie, Aaron Donald sleeping like a baby this past evening.
Yeah, I also want to hit on, I think it's a way of Frank Reich's keeping himself collected so he doesn't get too heated in that moment and say something he shouldn't say.
He's not going to do that. That's not, again, I that's half in jest. I thought it was very funny and, like I said, laughable, but I understand. Coach Reich's a professional. What is he going to do? Oh, our offensive line was garbage. Oh, they were terrible. No, that's not Frank Reich. That's not what he's going to do when he interacts with the media. Just not. But at the same time, to go the other extreme and say you have to look post-game to kind of feel things out, that equally as funny. Looking more at the Rams, what they bring to the table. Again, a convincing win against the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football. That was a fun game. It's always fun to have to, whenever you have something early happen in the next day, trying to stay up for Sunday Night Football. The game luckily for me, Sunday Night Football wasn't the issue because I did some work with the morning show last week. Sunday night wasn't the issue because that game was, it got out of hand. Monday night was the issue, man. Ravens, Raiders, going to OT. I was hoping for a missed kick there late, and unfortunately did not wind up getting that, but it was a hell of a game.
You like that? You like that?
Indeed, Kirk Cousins. I do like that. I do like that for sure. Let's hear from Sean McVay first on the Colts offense, then we'll go Colts defense.
Absolutely, Steve. Quentin's a great guard. They've got a really good physical offensive line, and they do a great job catering to those guys' skill sets, and two backs that are excellent. You know that Carson has great athleticism if they decide to activate him as well. But it will be a sometimes thing based on the personnel, some of the front mechanics, and different things that we want to be able to present to them. But that'll be definitely a good 5-star matchup when those guys are lined up against one another.
Coach, it's Jimmy, but I appreciate you answering my question. Let's take a look at the other side of the ball.
One of the things that I think Coach Eberflus does a great job of, Steve, they've got an identity on early downs. They do a really good job. They're fundamentally sound. They play hard. They're a penetrating front. They'll stir the front a little bit depending upon what they're doing on the back end. And then he does a really nice job of having designer ways of attacking you in some of those known pass downs.
It's Jimmy, Coach. It's Jimmy. Come on. What are you doing? I thought we were pals. I thought we were chums. All jokes aside, Eddie Garrison, props to him, and we'll give, tip of the cap to my producer as much as I can, doing a phenomenal job getting all this audio cut. Every now and again, you're going to have coaches interacting with the media, questions like that. Steve, obviously one of the reporters out there covering the Rams. We'll go back to the Colts for a second. We mentioned the offensive line is going to be critical as one of our keys to success for the keys to success to get a win. I'm hesitant over the name, Eddie. I've forgotten how you pronounce
Steve Palazzolo.
I'll be honest. I'll be direct with you. I'm sorry. Steve Palazzolo, senior analyst at Pro Football Focus, broke down on the ride of the JMV which offensive lineman struggled the most for the Colts in week 1. We mentioned you're not going to have Braden Smith today, but you are going to have Eric Fisher. So obviously there's going to be no love or criticism to Fisher in this synopsis. But Steve breaking it down on where the biggest weaknesses were for the Colts O-line against the Seahawks in week 1.
Julian Davenport at left tackle and then Braden Smith at right tackle. And I would look at Davenport and say, okay, that's kind of in line with the rest of his career. He struggled in pass protection. He's filling in for Eric Fisher. Braden Smith, a bit of a disappointment. He gave up 6 pressures. And in the Seattle pass rush isn't great on paper. They played well. They did a nice job up front on Sunday. And again, I think when you look at the Colts, my big concern was on the perimeter. Would they have enough playmakers to move the ball and create chunk plays? I think we still have question marks there, but it's even worse if Carson Wentz isn't getting that much time to throw.
No chance that was the same Steve, obviously, that the Rams were talking about there.
No, Steve's with Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, I'm not being crossing wires there. But yeah, I mean, look, that's important to know, and that's why I like the type of product that Pro Football Focus puts out, not just because it's people crunching numbers or crunching stats, getting too far into the thick of things, but additionally, NBC utilizes them very heavily. You can see their rankings of where they rank position by position when they show the starting lineups throughout the broadcast, or when they show the starting lineups to open the broadcast on Sunday Night Football, and then whenever they're talking about players on hand at pregame and halftime, postgame, whichever situation that might be in. They do a lot of great work. I know JMB utilizes them as well. Let's take a nod to the quarterback in Carson Wentz. Again, we mentioned a little bit earlier, we heard from him, recapping audio, heard from the Colts YouTube channel on him being able to get rid of the ball and pass protection, but wondering what he's noticed stands out in general about what the Ravens defense brings to the table. We've talked a lot about Aaron Donald today on the Way Too Early pregame show. Not as much we probably should have to Jalen Ramsey. Here's Carson Wentz's thoughts on the whole on the Rams defense.
They fly around. They start everything making it look the same kind of every play, and then they post-snap kind of fly around and sometimes try and make it confusing, sometimes not. But they fly around, they make plays, they rally to the football, they play with a lot of vision on the quarterback. So you're really aware of where Aaron is, where Jalen Ramsey, another guy that's arguably the best at his position as well. And so you're aware of these guys, and they fly around, but at the same time, we're confident in our game plan that we're going to be able to run our stuff and do our thing and hopefully have success.
Jalen Ramsey just an electric player. Like one of the top corners, if not the top corners in the league. A key piece to the Jaguars during his time there, and now in LA. I mean, Eddie, that's half the battle, right? Is having a game wrecker up front and then somebody that's going to lock down defensively man-to-man, whatever the case may be, just having a piece at the cornerback position as well to kind of complement what Aaron Donald's doing up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And last Sunday against the Bears, he wasn't just lining up outside. They were lining him all over the place in the slot. They were using him as at the line of scrimmage in the run fits and stuff like that. And there was a play last week where they threw a screen to Darnell Mooney, the Bears did, and Jalen Ramsey went through I think it was a receiver or a lineman for Chicago and tackled Mooney through the offensive lineman or the blocker. It was one of the craziest plays I've seen from Jalen Ramsey. And I know we haven't really touched on this, but I know players and coaches have voiced their frustration so far with the number change. Jalen Ramsey's out there as number 5, and you're not looking for number 20 right now. So I don't know how much of that has to play a factor to quote unquote. This is just me, No,
I understand. I mean, I thought about that early too, but at the same time, I mean,
it's a number.
Yeah, right. Like you know as well as anybody like that. That's more aesthetic. I mean, if anything, that's a Rams fan being upset that, I invested in a Ramsey jersey and now he's got a new number. Like, that's another thing. I'm not going to get, on a huge soapbox here about this, but, NFL's making money, right? They're rolling in the cash. Same thing with any of these sports leagues. A guy changes the number, you should be able to, if you already have his jersey, this is outlandish, but we're just going to roll with it anyway. You should be able to either get a discounted rate if you can prove that you have the jersey of his former number, or have a trade swap or have a trade in, at least in some regard to that, particularly if it's been a year or two. There are a couple companies that do that. We won't name them now just for sake of sponsorships, but there are some companies that work with the shops like NFLshop.com or NBAstore.com where they have buyback opportunities like that. But again, see a number change, maybe you drop a hundo or something on it, Eddie, and you're so excited to have that Ramsey jersey, or you're so excited to have, I don't have the full list of people that made that number change, but it happens, and it can be frustrating as a fan, but that's about where the line draws in terms of struggles from the defensive side of the ball, or in terms of struggles from, or not defensive side of the ball, but from an offensive coordinator standpoint, or from realizing who's out there. When you see somebody out there on an island, it's Jalen Ramsey. You're not worried about that.
No, not at all. And Darius Williams on the other side is very underrated for the Rams. I was filling in for you on the Dan Dockett show earlier this week, and we were talking about the offensive line, and amongst other things, Aaron Donald was Stu Jackson of therams.com. Got to make sure you get the in there because you actually go to a website about the Rams.
I joke with that about Dan when we had him on early in the offseason. It's very weird that LA wouldn't be able to just buy the rights to said site, but anyway, continue.
But Darius Williams last week, it wasn't Pro Football Focus. It was one of those other analytical, I think it was Next Gen Stats maybe. They put out a graphic of Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams in coverage last week, and both of those guys put up the same numbers. And when you look at it, it's like Darius Williams doesn't get the love like Jalen Ramsey, but Darius Williams has been just as good for the Rams as has Jalen Ramsey. And when you can have a guy who's flying under the radar like that as your number 2, man, that must be nice, because the Colts have been searching for a defensive back that can, hold his own on the outside of Xavier Rhodes for quite some time.
Eddie, I'm going to put you back to work here for a second as we head back to Colts-centric audio. Marcus Brady, offensive coordinator for the Colts, talking about in terms of simulating in practice, and it's tough, right? It's tough to simulate somebody like Aaron Donald, but DeForest Buckner, equally talented beast in the trenches in his own right. Coach Brady talked a little bit about how DeForest Buckner helps simulate that while preparing for Aaron Donald.
It is an advantage, having a guy like Buckner who causes problems, in the interior, as does Aaron Donald. So, we had to, kind of scheme a little bit of that in training camp during competitive periods, and we kind of used some of what we did during training camp, going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. When you have a weapon like that at your disposal in DeForest Buckner, and again, no disrespect to Buckner, but he's not on Aaron Donald's level. I mean, maybe he makes plays like it, but it's different, right? No one's going to have a unicorn piece like that in Aaron Donald. However, good to have it, good to simulate it, to be able to at least get you close to the real-time pressure and action that Carson Wentz is going to feel this afternoon at 1 o'clock. Coming up next, JJ Stankovitz of Colts.com going to talk to us about the lay of the land for the Colts preparation for the Rams. Again, that is 1 o'clock right here on The Fan. We're with you, not us as it'd be an Eddie, but the Fan is here with you all day long, getting you set for kickoff. JJ Stankovitz also going to talk about that breaking news story. If you haven't heard, you don't want to do a Google search real quick, we'll talk about it with JJ, what that breaking news story from last night was regarding the Colts and a nice piece returning to them here on the Way Too Early Morning Show.
For those fortunate enough to help the person who has always been their hero, find the care guides you need to help at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
How real do I give it? So real. How real do I give it? So real. So real that Caesars will give you some authentic NFL gear when you bet $100 in September. So download the app and get live in-game betting, parlays, Caesars rewards, and some authentic NFL gear. I'm an official sponsor of the NFL, people!
Must be 21. Offer valid in Indiana only and for new and existing users who opt into this offer. Jersey awarded as a gift card. Options may vary. Terms and conditions apply. See Caesars.com/promos. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Hi, we're OfferPad, the new way homes are sold. Go to OfferPad.com, tell us about your home, and we'll send you a great cash offer. Or, if that's not your style, we can also list your home with tons of free OfferPad services, free handyman fixes, house cleaning, yard work, and more to get your home show ready. We can even advance renovation costs to maximize your home's value. Whatever way you want to sell, you're sold with OfferPad. Sell your way today at OfferPad.com. Terms and conditions apply. Real estate brokerage services provided by OfferPad Brokerage LLC. Equal housing opportunity.
When it comes to working at Geico, our best advocates are our employees, like Janet. But since she is so focused on growing her career, we hired an actor to read her story.
At Geico, we really help each other. If anything comes up, we work through it as a group, so we all learn.
As a full-time employee, she can also get paid benefits like medical, dental, vision, and parental leave. She even got a plaque for her desk that says, "I'm kind of a big deal." Yeah, you are, Janet.
Ready to start your career, Indy? We're hiring claim sales and service agents. Apply online today at geico.jobs/Indy.
Hey, I'm Piper. Here's my deal. I don't like paying full price, and I need choices in my life. At Bill Estes Chevy, they combine value with selection. Prices are marked down. Inventory is amped up. Choose from hundreds of new-to-you vehicles with 40 priced under $20,000, like a 2017 Equinox for $18,900 or a 2013 Silverado for $19,800. Don't be surprised when you match what you want with what you want to pay. 70 SUVs, 60 trucks, and 40 choices under $20,000. My choice is Bill Estes Chevy, I-465 and Michigan Road, the friendliest intersection in Indy.
Hey, it's JMV for the best. It's Mark Dietel. Mark Dietel Realty, 317-755-4232. That's 317-755-4232. MarkDietel.com. MarkDietel.com. Listen, if I were somebody out there actively looking to move, whether it's downsizing or upgrading, there's only person I'm going to call. There's no doubt about that, is Mark Dietel, because he is the best. And I love the guarantees. Multiple offers in 3 days, or he is going to sell it for you absolutely free. That's what Mark Dietel does. And you know what? Here's Sean and Alex from Indianapolis, excited with a new baby, and they needed a larger space. They wanted to upgrade. What did they do? They got a hold of Mark Dietel and got the job done right. That's what he's going to do for you. Get it done. 317-755-4232. 317-755-4232. Online, markdietel.com. That's MarkDietel.com today.
In January of 2017, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
And within 24 hours of that diagnosis, we found ourselves here in Memphis at St. Jude. They knew what they were doing. They knew how they were going to treat her. They laid out this elaborate plan.
We didn't know what the future was, or if there even was a future. But with St. Jude, there was.
Not that long ago, the survival rate was 4%. 4%. But through the work and research that St. Jude does, that's now 94%. And you know how that got done? It's through donations. By people getting behind this mission that no child dies in the dawn of life.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Earn cash back every time you shop. Now through September 24th, during Lowe's Just for Pros event, you can earn up to $150 in statement credits when you're approved for a Lowe's Business Rewards card from American Express and join the Lowe's for Pros loyalty program. This exclusive offer is only for new eligible Lowe's Business Rewards Card members. So apply today at Lowe's.com/business-credit. Lowe's, the new home for pros. More terms apply. U.S. only.
Think you could avoid being drawn into a cult? The answer might surprise you. Every week on the new documentary-style podcast, Was I in a Cult? You'll hear fascinating real-life stories from cult survivors who got in and, most importantly, got back out again.
Why are we all so obsessed with cults?
Well, because it could happen to anyone.
Perhaps you too will be asking yourself, wait, was I in a cult?
Listen to Was I in a Cult wherever you get your podcasts.
USA Today Sports Plus is the new sports app that puts fans first. While others are at the press conference, they're in the locker room with more reporters in more cities than any other news outlet. Get the latest scores, stats, and standings and enjoy interactive experiences as well as group chats with their award-winning sports writers. If you're a fan of football, you need USA Today Sports Plus for this upcoming season. Download it from the Apple or Google Play stores today. USA Today Sports Plus. Fan harder.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Back to school, so kids tell your parents about Forum Credit Union's Sprout of the Month contest, where you could win $100 in a Sprout account. Details at 1075thefan.com.
It's never too early for football.
Yeah, it's too early.
It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
That's right. It is the Way Too Early pregame show here on The Fan. Jimmy Cook, Eddie Garrison on the ones and twos. High above the circle, downtown Indianapolis, here in the drivehubler.com studios. Listen, remaining Indianapolis media, particularly people that cover the Colts regularly, you're going to be getting sporadic texts from me because we want to try to have at least one writer or one individual that covers a team closely on a weekly, and the standard has been set, ladies and gentlemen. JJ Stankovitz, Colts.com, joining us. And why has the standard been set? Because I lied to JJ. I told him the wrong time because I thought that we were on later than we actually were. And my friend, not only did you not hammer me for doing that, but you quickly responded with a yes, absolutely, I'm in today. How are you? Good morning to you, JJ.
I'm great. When you have twin boys that wake up at 7, you are up at 7. So here we are. Let's talk some football.
Yeah, I don't have twin boys, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing of, I have 2 dogs, but they're not even remotely close to the same thing, JD. Not even in the same ballpark. I'm not ignorant. I'm not going to pretend like they are. But you're right. Let's talk some football. Eric Fisher. It's Eric Fisher's music on a Sunday morning, JJ. He will be getting the start today at left tackle. Talk a little bit about that. That news broke last night. I know you report on that as well as many others did. Ian Rappaport talking about an NFL network. But what's that mean for the Colts getting back the piece they hoped to replace Costanzo?
Well, especially with Braden Smith being out in this game with a foot injury, that really does give the Colts offensive line a boost where you don't have to dip deeper into your depth chart at tackle, certainly. So that's kind of the first thing here. The second thing is that, with Aaron Donald coming to town, you want to be as close to full strength as possible. And Donald obviously plays mostly inside, but, the Rams will line him up kind of, more outside, sometimes even as a wide 9 technique to kind of vary where he is on the field and vary his rushes. So, you need to have good communication between your guard and your tackle whenever that happens. Now, Quentin Nelson and Eric Fisher haven't practiced a whole lot together, but they have spent a lot of time together. So we'll see if that maybe plays out into a successful day for the Colts offensive line.
We talked a little bit, at least the station as a whole did, on the Fan Morning Show. I know Jeff Saturday was on. We played some of that earlier in our 6 o'clock hour. JJ Stankovitz joining us of Colts.com. I asked him about Jeff Saturday, about continuity there. I know you kind of touched on that a little bit, but is that something that kind of gets thrown out the window because of how experienced and tenured not only Fisher is, but some of the guys on the Colts offensive line off the bat? Or is that still something that you're expecting, particularly after this injury, to get your sea legs back, might take a little bit of time?
I think probably a little bit of both. It's easier to plug in a 10-year vet like Eric Fisher, certainly. But at the same time, there are different nuances to it that, I'm sure Jeff Saturday knows way more about it than I do. But just in terms of, how to pass guys off and where you're going to be on a certain play, those things can develop quickly. But there is just something to be said for getting that actual game experience with someone like Eric Fisher, for Quentin Nelson, that, maybe, it will be a little bit different. And then, over on the right side, if it's Julian Davenport, Matt Pryor, whoever gets the start over there, they'll be playing with Mark Lewinsky for the first time. So there will be, some things that the Colts are going to have to work on in this game just to make sure that their communication is sound, that everyone knows what their assignment is, and that there aren't any issues with communication, because if there are, this Rams defensive line is very much liable to just kind of blow a play up in the backfield.
I don't think I have the authority to do this, but I'm going to dock you 5 metaphorical Colts dollars because you gave the first yawn of the Fan Morning Show there during that answer. I did it again.
You thought that one, didn't you? Yeah.
But that's what I keep doing. I keep referring to our show as the wrong show because I did an early show earlier this week, and I can't get our identity right. It's the Way Too Early pregame show. Jimmy Cook here with JJ Stankovitz of Colts.com. JJ, what has been the talk around the Colts locker room and just the team as a whole, knowing that it was going to be a tough task against Seattle a week ago, but focusing again on the offensive line and a little bit on the defense as well, getting beat on the deep balls. Some of the core principles the Colts build themselves around just weren't there in week 1. You'd like to see that obviously come back in week 2.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of frustration, certainly. But this team and
Sure.
listeners know this team is a pretty resilient one, and they very quickly got into the film room on Monday, watched everything, worked on making their corrections, and then kind of flushed that frustration. So they then this week have now had this focus of, all right, we're not going to let that happen again. And certainly everyone in that building saw what the Rams offense did to the Chicago Bears with a couple of those deep shots to Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson. So that's going to definitely be on the Colts' radar, is trying to prevent those deep shot plays, because that is an area where this Rams offense can be pretty lethal with the way that they scheme things up. And, we didn't even see Deshaun Jackson really do anything against the Bears on Sunday night. He's another guy you have to account for on those deep balls. So, that certainly is a focus. The Colts do not want to get gashed like they did on that Tyler Lockett touchdown again here on Sunday.
I stand by the idea that if the Colts are going to recover from the defensive side of things and they're going to be able to get a hold of Matt Stafford, they have to do just that. It's get pressure towards Matthew Stafford and get to him as quickly as they can. He's not going to be as mobile, right? You know that, but he's going to pick you apart if he has time in the pocket. When you look at the Rams offensive line, question marks coming into the season, particularly for age being an issue at times across that line, and they end up having a top 5 performance against the Bears, who I think you kind of mentioned it in your answer a couple minutes ago. Keem Hicks, Khalil Mack, not something to shake a stick at. Like, those are 2 top players in the trenches, and they handle it very well. How are the Colts to get through and get pressure to Stafford, knowing this line is at least stabilized a little bit for the Rams, overcoming that early criticism?
Yeah, it's a good question, because the Colts did send a decent number of blitzes. Wasn't a ton against Seattle, but there were a couple in there. I mean, obviously they had that cover 0 blitz where, Tyler Lockett made one of the most incredible catches I've ever seen a wide receiver make. I don't know. Matt Stafford's not the same as Russell Wilson in that he's not going to scramble, but he will get outside the pocket, and Matt Stafford is a very mobile quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. He's very good at knowing when to step up in the pocket, knowing when to flush out. He can certainly throw on the run. So there are going to be things that the Colts are going to have to do to scheme up pressure and make sure that they're still able to keep contained, because he can do some things with his feet. Again, he's not going to run like Russell Wilson did, but he can make things difficult for a defense with just that little bit of mobility that he has, in the pocket, behind the line of scrimmage. I'm interested to see what the blitzing looks like, if there is any. Or if the Colts say, all right, you know what, like, we still have DeForest Buckner and Kwity Paye and, Kamoko Toure may be trending toward playing this week, Ben Banogu, Tyquan Lewis, Al-Kindi Muhammad, all these guys. And, let's see. I think we can get after the quarterback with rushing 4. That's going to be a really interesting part of what Matt Eberflus' game plan is going to be.
JJ Stankovitz joining us on Colts.com, or on Colts.com is where you can find his coverage. He's joining us here on the Way Too Early pregame show. JJ, I don't know how this happens, and I know it's not within the Colts because they're aware of it, but at least from coverage, Aaron Donald has sort of dwarfed the other elephant in the room in terms of just defensive beasts on the Rams, and that is Jalen Ramsey. How are the Colts preparing for that?
Well, I mean, I think that's a really good point. We've heard so much talk this week about Aaron Donald and questions to Colts players about Aaron Donald because he's Aaron Donald. He's the best defensive player on the planet and a guy who, is going to go down as one of the best defensive players of all time, right up there with probably Reggie White and Lawrence Taylor when it's all said and done. But you're absolutely right, Jimmy. The way that the Rams use Jalen Ramsey in that star position where he's kind of a big nickel, but he can also play outside. He can also play in the box. He lines up everywhere. You have to know where he is on every play. Because I don't know if you saw this on Sunday Night Football, the Bears ran a wide receiver screen to the side that Jalen Ramsey was on. Mm-hmm. And there was the guy who caught the ball and a blocker and Jalen Ramsey destroyed the blocker and basically threw him into Darnell Mooney for a tackle for a loss. You can't always throw the ball away from Jalen Ramsey. You can't always run a play away from Jalen Ramsey, but you have to know where he is on every play. And it is so dangerous when you have two of the best players on defense in the NFL on the same team in Ramsey and Donald, because you can build a defense around those guys. And the Colts know they have to scheme an offense around those guys. They're still going to run what they run, but also be very aware of where Jalen Ramsey is because he can blow a play up at any moment if given the opportunity.
Last thing before I let you go, JJ, Jonathan Taylor and the Colts rushing attack, that's maybe the one area on defense that for the Rams has been criticized, their run defense, if you're looking for holes. How critical is Taylor to a Colts win today? And additionally, how much does Eric Fisher being back, if at all, help how the Colts want to utilize Jonathan Taylor? We lost JJ there. That's all right. Eddie called JJ back. That's not his fault. It happens, but we're pretty close to when we wanted to break anyway. Call JJ back and thank him for his time today. It's JJ Stankovitz here on the Way Too Early pregame show. We're going to step away. When we come back, we'll have our final segment of the show. Eddie and I are going to go over our favorite picks for the day, as well as some prop bets that Eddie likes for you as well. It's Colts coverage all the way to kickoff. Getting you started is right here on the Way Too Early pregame show, 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Your one blood donation can help save the lives of up to 3 people. Give blood through the American Red Cross to help hospital patients. Visit redcrossblood.org today.
The NFL is back and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every week. All you have to do is bet a same-game parlay bet with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. Like coming up in Week 2, the Colts take on the Rams. I like the Colts on the money line, Michael Pittman to hit the over in receiving yards, and the under in total points in the first quarter. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay bet, so lock in your bet today on FanDuel Sportsbook and get up to $10 back if your bet doesn't win. And if you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, also claim your 30-1 odds on either team to win in the biggest game this Sunday when the Chiefs take on the Ravens. Just sign up with promo code MARK. That's promo code MARK, M-A-R-C. 21 and over in present Indiana. Refund issued is now a drawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on mobile web. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT.
Owning a business comes with pressure. There's a limit to what I can do and still keep employees engaged.
Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work to help me with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance, while giving my employees competitive benefit options. And because I'm able to focus on other priorities, my employees can thrive and my business can grow. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Bet Rivers Sportsbook is ready to make this football season one to remember. All season long, you can score at Bet Rivers Sportsbook with free bets, odds boosts, and more. With player props, thousands of game lines, and live in-game betting, Bet Rivers Sportsbook delivers a best-in-class sports betting experience and has an experienced customer service team to back it up. Visit Bet Rivers Sportsbook today and bet this football season with a local trusted team that puts you first. Go to BetRivers.com and be a winner. Partner of French Lick Casino Resort. Must be 21 or over to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-9-WITH-IT. 1-800-994-8448. Playable only in Indiana.
Hey, JMV, so I was talking to my friends at Connecticut Water Systems the other day and the benefits of my whole home water treatment system, and they told me something that kind of blew my mind on this, too. Did you know that the average family does 8 to 10 loads of laundry every week? And laundry done with Connecticut soft water requires 1/4 of the recommended detergent. That is awesome. That's about $100 worth of savings per year. Do what I did and get your Connecticut Water System today. Online, ConnecticutIndy.com.
It's time for the Crestpoint Real Estate Market Minute.
It's Terry Stacy with this is Patrick Keller, managing broker and owner of Crestpoint Real Estate, Indy's real estate experts. Hello, Patrick.
Hey Terry, this week I'd like to talk to you about these notices or postcards that homeowners are likely receiving saying that these companies will purchase their homes with cash. You'll likely see a postcard or a note in the mail coming very soon from larger companies saying that they would buy your home with cash, no inspection, no questions, hassle-free, and no showings. I have a mentor that tells me often that anything that's worth something does require a little bit of work. And we know that sellers who have taken these cash offers have left a lot of money and guidance and counseling on the table. So make sure that you get a really good analysis from a trusted real estate expert before you sell a home with cash to an investor.
This has been the Crestpoint Real Estate Market Minute. Get your home value estimate in 60 seconds at sellwithpatrick.com.
Fall in Indy. And for 20 years, Rhino Shield's been covering Indiana homes like your neighbor Elsie.
My husband he had been reading about Rhino Shield. We were just impressed.
And Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
And we had our all the trim and everything done. And they even did the ceiling of our front porch.
Indianapolis, fall just got better. Celebrate Rhino Shield covering Indiana homes for 20 years for 20% off the regular price.
Oh my, it looks brand new. Saves us painting, and we get compliments even today about how nice it looks and everything.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
In the early hours after the tsunami, it was ham radio that was on the air, saving lives. When Florida was ripped by hurricanes, the hams were there. In the critical moments after the attack of 9/11, it was the hams who coordinated emergency messages. When disasters strike, the hams are ready. Ham radio works when other communications don't. To learn how you can become a ham radio operator, call the ARRL, the National Association for Amateur Radio, at 1-800-326-3942.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Because there's only one you, Vuse Alto is the vape as unique as you are. With Vuse by You, you can make your unique mix with any of 4 colors, 3 flavors, 3 nicotine levels, and infinite wrap designs. So how will you do you? Make Vuse Alto a vape that is yours. In store now. Discover more at Vuse.com. Vuse. Charge beyond. Vapor products. Underage sale prohibited. Website and offers restricted to age 21 and over tobacco consumers.
Is fall your gear to seasonal decor? They have it all at a great price.
Hey, wake up. We're talking football. It's the Way Too Early pregame show on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Good morning to you all for the final time here on the Way Too Early pregame show. Jimmy Cook coming to you from the DriveHoover.com studios. A reminder for you from a programming standpoint. If you're waiting for JMB or hyped about JMB, as you should be, at Bullseye Event Group today. That is not till 9 o'clock. 8 to 9, it's the Fine Line with Joe Wiz. Then 9 to 10, JMV is live from Bullseye Event Group. 10 o'clock, you get the Colts pregame huddle. And then 12 o'clock, it's countdown to kickoff, leading into all of that coverage, leading up to Colts Rams at 1 o'clock right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. But again, if you're hyped, as you well should be, because it's always just a great party and a great time getting you ready all the way towards kickoff. You're waiting for JMB. That is at 9. Fine Line with Joe Wiz from 8 to 9 here on The Fan. Time to take a look at things we like and things we don't really care for in the world of betting. Eddie, we'll start with you with some prop bets that you've focused your attention on. Eddie likes the prop bets. I'm more of a line guy, but there's definitely money to be made on those player and team props. Eddie, what you got?
All right, so I'm going to start with the Colts game, Colts Rams. There are two props that I like, both involving the quarterback, and they're the same kind of prop. I really like Matthew Stafford under 36.5 pass attempts. And I like it because I think the game script for the Rams will be in favor of this. I don't think they're going to be playing from behind. Sorry, Colts fans, but I just don't think the Rams are going to struggle offensively, and I don't think the Colts defense is going to be able to contain that Rams offense in the aerial attack, and I think Darrell Henderson will have a fairly decent amount of carries as well. Sean McVay has hinted at that throughout the week. He said that he wants to get back to running the football a little bit more with Darrell Henderson. So I think Henderson can have a very, very big game. And plus, I think Sony Michel gets a little bit of more work too. And last week, Russell Wilson didn't need to throw the football 37 times to beat the Colts. He threw the ball 23 times. So he didn't even cross 30, and I don't think the Rams will need to throw 37 either. And then I like Carson Wentz over 34.5. Similar to last week, he threw the ball 38 times because the Colts were behind. I think that'll be the case again. So those are just two props that I like in the game today for the Colts and the Rams.
All right, let's stop there. First one for over under pass attempts for Matthew Stafford. You said it was 37.5?
36.5.
36.5. I like the under there, Eddie. I do. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. It's a number that I first saw and really, really, really like.
You like that? You like that?
I do. Big fan of that. Any other props, big picture, that you have across the league?
Yeah, there's one I just stumbled upon, and that's Myles Gaskin over 21.5 receiving yards. Last week on my Twitter, at @EddieGarrison_, I played Myles Gaskin over 2.5 receptions. That was a no doubt a hit. I think he had 4 in total, so I'm rolling with Gaskin another week, just a different prop, and that's over 21.5 receiving yards. He went over this line in 10 of 11 games that he's played so far in a Miami Dolphins uniform. And last year against Buffalo, he had 36 and 57 receiving yards. Tua not afraid to get him the ball, check it down, get him in space too. And I think Tre'Davious White has a nice game on the outside and covering on whomever it is that he shadows against the Miami Dolphins.
My official plays of the day, a reoccurring segment on the Dan Dockett Show and stuff that I continue into the weekend. Official plays of the day will be out a little bit later, but some plays that I am going after today. And yes, we will be picking Colts Rams as well, but a bounce back effort, I think, and then some from the Buffalo Bills. They're currently on DraftKings in Miami is where that game will be, but on DraftKings, any sportsbook. We're not affiliated by any sportsbook here on the Way Too Early pregame show. That's just the one I happen to have up. That's the one that I use. Bills, I'm laying 3.5 with Buffalo. I think a bounce back performance from really the entire Bills offense, but in particular Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I think it's a big outing from them.
I like it too, man.
Yeah, I do like it too, baby. Thank you, Luna. Looking at other games around the league. For Texans-Browns, Eddie, it's a lot of points. I am going to, truthfully, I'm going to stay away, but I want to highlight just the point aspect in general.
God, please, no.
You hate it in general? You agree with me on that, staying away?
I just think this is a game where Cleveland just absolutely steamrolls Houston.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
So you disagree. So you're laying the 13.5.
If I had to, I am laying it. I really do think Cleveland is that good, and I think Houston is that bad. I think last week was a fluke game for Tyrod Taylor.
Man, I bring it strong today, Eddie Garrison. I admire that. I'm still staying away. I agree with you, though. It's probably a fluke game, but anytime you get into double-digit points, I have to be fully confident to go after it and back it. So I'm going to stay away from that game. A couple last ones for you. Chiefs, Ravens. Ravens are beat up in a lot of different areas. I understand that they thrived at times against Oakland, Las Vegas on Monday Night Football, but different animal with the Chiefs and more of the same getting beat deep. I think it's going to happen in that ball game. I'd lay the 3.5 there, plus Tyrann Mathieu back for the Chiefs as well. And Colts, Rams, I think right now it's at 3.5. I laid the 4 earlier in the week, Colts fans. I am backing the Rams to defeat the Indianapolis Colts tonight.
I like it too, baby.
Thank you, Luda. We have had a fun time for you on the Way Too Early pregame show. Again, 8 to 9. Up next, it's The Fine Line with Joe Wiz, 9 to 10. JMV at Bullseye Event Center. 10 o'clock, Colts pregame huddle, and 12 o'clock, the countdown to kickoff. Before we get you set for the 1 o'clock kick between the Colts and Rams, join us next Sunday right here on the Way Too Early pregame show, 6 to 8 a.m. I'm Jimmy Cook, signing off.
The JMB sucks, but his Larceny Bourbon golf outing doesn't. Benefiting Teachers Treasures is back again. Visit 1075thefan.com to learn how to get your tickets.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life